How's it going, guys? It's K Cars, and in this video I wanted to talk about the best exhaust setup that you can get for your Dodge Challenger. So of course this video, like every other video, is just going to be my opinion, and I'm also going to be explaining a few different exhaust setups for your own preferences and the different exhaust setups that I've had on this car. Of course, to start off, whenever I got this car, it was completely stock, and that's a good exhaust setup if you want to kind of get like a low tone out of it and not really any kind of raspiness. So of course the stock exhaust is, you know, it's not too loud, but it's definitely not quiet either. It can be quiet when you want it to be quiet, but of course it does have the active exhaust system. So whenever you get on the throttle, it opens up the exhaust valves and it sounds a lot better and a whole lot louder, in my opinion. So for somebody who wants to, you know, keep that low, kind of low tone, minimal raspiness sound of the exhaust, then I would say just keep it stock, because I mean that's the best kind of, if you're wanting that kind of sound out of the Challenger, then that's the best exhaust setup, in my opinion, that you could get, is just keep it stock. Because with any kind of exhaust modifications, it's going to be more raspy. Even with just a mid-muffler delete or a ScatPack or anything like that, it's going to become more raspy. And just keeping it stock is going to give you the least amount of raspiness and the best kind of tone, in my opinion. So that's the first exhaust setup that I've gone through. I know, not really a setup, but you know, it's a stock exhaust, and I think if those are your exhaust preferences, then you should just keep it stock and it will still sound awesome stock. Moving on to probably the most common modification for the Dodge Challengers and the Chargers is probably the mid-muffler delete. So that's the second exhaust setup that I had on this car. It was $100 just to get the mufflers cut off and replaced with a piece of straight pipe. And with that, it definitely opened up the sound a lot more, but it also made it a little bit more raspy. Now for me, in my own personal opinion, I don't really mind this car being raspy. Right now it is pretty raspy because I just like it to be really loud, and it still has good tone, in my opinion, with the mid-muffler delete. So if you're looking for something, you know, a little bit more sound, and you don't mind a little bit more raspiness either, then probably the mid-muffler delete is all you have to do. And it's also the cheapest way to get more sound out of a car like this. So just as a refresher, or if you guys aren't familiar with Dodge Challengers or Chargers, of course they have the headers in the front, and then you go back, you have the cats or the mid-pipes in the middle, and then you have the mufflers in the middle or somewhere around maybe the rear seats. And then going back, you have the resonators in the very back. So that's the complete exhaust system on the Challenger. So if you get a mid-muffler delete, they will cut out those mufflers in the middle and then just weld in a piece of straight pipe. So that's all that is. It's the cheapest way to get more sound, like I said, but it also does add some more raspiness. So if you don't mind that and you're just going for more sound, then that's definitely probably the best exhaust mod that you can do. And it really doesn't cost that much either. So unless you're planning on replacing the whole ScatPack, then that's probably the first exhaust mod that I would recommend doing, is definitely the mid-muffler delete. That's the first thing I did to this car, and I definitely don't regret it at all. It sounds amazing. So yeah, let's move on to the next exhaust setup. So the current exhaust setup on this car is Cook's 1 7/8" long tube headers, callus mid pipes, mid-muffler delete, and stock ScatPack other than that. And I think it sounds insane like this. The first time I actually drove it, I don't know how to explain it, but it kind of just sounded like it had a bigger engine, I guess. Really don't know how else to explain it, but that's kind of what it sounded like. So basically, with the long tube headers, it's just what it sounds like. It's headers that are longer. So the headers are the first thing that comes out of the engine here. So they made the headers longer, and then the mid pipes have to be shorter, of course. And the catalytic converters are in the mid pipes. So since I got catless mid pipes, it just goes straight through, like it's a straight pipe, and there's no cats or anything in there. So literally the only thing that's restricting my exhaust right now is the resonators in the very back. Other than that, it's a complete straight pipe. If you look right over there, those are the headers. And one downside of getting long tube headers is that, if you can see right there, they do stick down a little bit more than the stock headers just because they're longer, and they definitely do scrape on speed bumps a lot easier if you have long tube headers. So if you are thinking about doing long tube headers and callus mid pipes, I would definitely highly recommend it. Be ready for a lot more sound and be ready to most likely make your neighbors pretty mad. It's also a lot more raspy too, but you know, it's easy to control, like I said in the beginning. If you don't want it to be extremely loud, just, you know, don't be too hard on the throttle, just like with any other car. But this car still has the active exhaust valves, so if you do want it to be very loud, if you do want it to scream, just step on the throttle and it'll open up and sound extremely loud. I've actually driven in front of one of my friends in this car before, and he said it's the loudest car he's ever heard. This car definitely is very loud, very raspy as well, but I think it sounds amazing with the current exhaust setup. And in my opinion, that is the best exhaust setup you can get for a Dodge Challenger ScatPack. Now, of course, you can still get an aftermarket catback, but those can get pretty expensive. I believe the Corsa Extreme catback for these cars is like $2,000, and I really don't think it would be too much of a difference. I don't think it would sound too different. I think one pretty cool thing about that catback is that it does come with quad tips. So I'm not sure if I would like that or not, but I think it would look pretty cool. The only thing holding me back from getting a catback is just the price. Like for $2,000, I really don't think it would make that much of a sound difference for what it is. The other reason why I think long tube headers, callus mid pipes, mid muffler delete is the best exhaust setup for this car is because of the horsepower gains. So with the long tube headers and with the callus mid pipes, along with the custom dyno tune, this thing picked up 48 wheel horsepower. So stock, this thing put down 422 on a Mustang dyno, and then after the tune and after all the parts were installed, it put down 470 to the wheels. So I mean, I'd say that's a pretty good increase in power just for headers and mid pipes. So yeah, that's the reason why I think this exhaust setup is the best that you can get, along with, of course, the sound. It's extremely loud. It's pretty raspy, which I really don't mind the raspiness of it. I know some people like to have that deep tone and not really any raspiness. So for those people, I would definitely recommend just staying stock, because any kind of exhaust mod that you do to this car, it will probably most likely increase the raspiness of the exhaust. So that's one trade-off of having more sound, is just the tone. It just sounds like it's screaming and it sounds really angry, I guess, which I kind of like that. Like I said, I don't mind the raspiness at all. I think it sounds insane. Another thing that you could do if you want to get more sound is a cam, which, you know, I have been thinking about doing that to this car. It's just very expensive. So a cam would definitely make it sound a lot more raspy and a lot louder as well. I think I would really like that, especially with the choppiness of the cam and the horsepower gains as well. So that would definitely be insane to have on this car and make it even louder than it already is. Guys, I hope this video helped you out if you're trying to decide which exhaust setup to get for your Dodge Challenger or Dodge Charger. Like I said, I've gone through 3 different setups, not really setups, I guess, if you don't want to count stock. So stock, mid muffler delete, then the third one was long tube headers, callus mid pipes, and mid muffler delete on the stock catback. That is the current setup that I have right now, and definitely by far my favorite as well. If you guys have any questions about my exhaust setups or anything at all, definitely drop those down in the comments, as well as any video suggestions for videos you would like to see in the future. And also let me know, I'm kind of curious to know what exhaust setups you guys are running on your Challengers or Chargers or whatever car you might have. I'm curious to know that as well. If you guys liked this video or found it entertaining, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.